Welcome to Doing Business in the Digital Economy, Partnering for Success with Supplier Managed Catalogs. Hello, my name is Tristan Haberley, and I have the privilege of managing the Catalog Services team for Asia Pacific, Japan, and Greater China. My team is part of the end-to-end services SAP provides to our customers for catalog enablement, primarily focusing working with our customers through deployment to go live. Prior to SAP, I've worked across a number of industries in technology and procurement, including time as a customer also deploying SAP Ariba, and then the ongoing management of the solution in business as usual. In my time in SAP, I've also worked in project delivery for consulting across all regions in the globe. And this is where I want to bring the experience and insights I have to you today. What are the types of conversations we're having with our buyer-side customers? What are customers looking for? And how potentially can you make your business stand out? To the agenda, I want to start off with the value and the benefits of catalogs, then take some time to look at the different types of catalogs, why your customers might have different preferences for different types, and keys to success when partnering with your buyer customers. Finally, strategies for driving more eyes to catalogs and some key takeaways. When it comes to benefits for catalog suppliers on the Ariba network, the opportunity goes further than the one-on-one relationship you might have with a single buyer at present. For those suppliers transacting on Ariba network for some time, you probably know that the number of relationships grow. As context for the size of Ariba network, consider there are over 200,000 catalogs and over 200 million items, a lot of content. I say this as you are not alone on the Ariba network, and you're part of a dynamic, growing ecosystem, a phenomenal platform to showcase your products and services, but also keep in mind that you should be considering to stand out from the crowd and make your content shine. Beyond the community aspect and platform to enable your products and services via catalog, transacting digitally via Ariba network will pay dividends as you eliminate manual processes and work more seamlessly with your customers in a digital-first manner. For your customers, the first benefit is a better purchasing experience. Ariba network catalogs provide a convenient and intuitive experience for your customers and users, similar to how you would purchase on other consumer retail websites. Content will typically be part of their digital transformation journeys. You could see this as an opportunity to further develop your relationship and capabilities with them as part of this. What about for your business? A notable benefit is a shorter order-to-cash cycle for you. By making detailed product information readily accessible, catalogs help users quickly find the right items and eliminate the need for lengthy back and forth exchanges around specifications, attributes, and other details. Automated processes decrease the time and effort needed to place orders, reconcile invoices, shortening your order-to-cash cycle. When suppliers introduce digital catalogs, they are likely to realize an increase in order volume also. Seller-managed catalogs also present marketing and promotional opportunities. Recently, SAP Procurement Data Analytics Solutions analyzed over 340,000 buyer and supplier relationship transaction statistics, representing more than 200,000 suppliers relationships from the Ariba network to obtain insights as to how catalog-based transactions differ from other supplier relationships. What was learned is that catalog suppliers, on average, have more buyer relationships and benefit from increased order volume when compared to other buy processors and suppliers on the Ariba network. But put more simply, for suppliers hosting catalogs on Ariba network, this translated to 2 times the number of buyer relationships and 3.5 times PO spend growth versus non-catalog. So let's take a moment before we go into the catalog types to set the scene. What is an Ariba catalog? It's an organized, descriptive, aggregated list of goods and services available to potential buyers in a hierarchical structure with a unified interface. Or more simply, a way to organize all the content and item attributes, images, pricing, descriptions, etc., which you're all used to when shopping online, in a more structured format that can be consumed by SAP procurement applications. There's two main types that we're going to talk about today: static and PunchOut. Now, why do buyers want catalogs in the first instance? A few reasons. So self-service purchasing, they want it to be easy and touchless for their end users. They don't always have to call purchasing to buy something. They want to prioritize their preferred supplier relationships. So ensure their end users are buying from the correct sources. They want ease of use. We all know how to shop online, and a catalog is a natural tool that does not need a lot of training. They also want to limit rogue spending. So when purchasing is easy, when buying is easy, users just want to get on with the job. They're less likely to go around the process if things are easy. Catalogs do a great job of that. And they also want to leverage negotiated content. So show the items that their users want to buy, show the content from negotiated contracts via catalogs. Now, if I reflect on some of the types of conversations we're having with our customers more and more, I could wrap it up in this summary. They are looking for simplicity, to make the buying experience for their end users as easy and as straightforward as possible. This is important to remember when we talk about the buyer's perspective over the next few slides. Now, let's take a moment to debunk some of the terminology around different content and catalog types and the level of effort associated. Let's start with a buyer perspective on where your content will be seen. It's worth knowing or having some context for these to understand the landscape and the solutions of your customers and what their priorities might be for their end users. So we'll start with Ariba catalogs, or formerly Ariba procurement content. And you could describe this as our more traditional user interface. It renders all the capabilities of catalogs and marketplace content. But typically, if users are going there, they're going there to look for content. In this scenario, users are punching out from their ERP system, making the purchase, coming back in. Then we have Ariba buying, or Ariba buying and invoicing. A lot of the similar interface, a lot of the same features and functionality, but in the same application, no punch-out scenario. And then guided buying, one of the innovations, and now very much a standard in how our customers bring to life an online consumer-like shopping experience for their end users. It's really designed to be a walk-up user interface that is intuitive with limited training required. User types their search query in the navigation bar like you might do in a search engine, and the options are showing up, and the options on how to buy and how to proceed are presented. You can see an example of this user interface in the bottom of the screen. And spot buy, I mentioned this as if you are speaking with a customer they're using or planning to use. It means marketplace is likely in their strategy. Rich content and competitive pricing made available to all deployed spot buy buyers. It's also the first content that new buyers will see. Now, let's take a look at these and how they overlay when it comes to you and the requests that you might receive from buyers to enable different catalog types. So spot buy. Procurement is changing, whether it is a marketplace as a supplier or a supplier in a marketplace. View this as a new buying channel. So spot buy is a solution for marketplace content, and its availability is country specific. Though marketplace partnerships through marketplaces like eBay or Amazon, or through Ariba network supply. So network supply programs are currently live in the USA and in Canada, in Europe, in the UK, in Germany, France, Austria, Spain, the Netherlands, and Belgium, and in Asia Pacific, in Japan and Australia. When it comes to the marketplace, there's variability in the maturity and the focus, and this varies by country. So please keep this in mind where each country is at this point in time. For example, in Australia, network supply, the current focus is on diversity suppliers. So at the outset, social enterprises, women-owned businesses, and Indigenous-owned businesses as example. When it comes to spot buy, Excel format content loaded via Ariba network, tackling tail spend, certainly less complexity to make this content available. Then it comes to static catalogs. So static catalogs are by far the most common catalogs we see leveraged on the Ariba network. Various flat file formats supported and range from more tactical strategic spend and more or less complex to implement. Then to PunchOuts. So PunchOut level 1, PunchOut level 2. Both PunchOuts types have more flexibilities in their configurability and also have a high level of complexity that comes with that flexibility. PunchOut level 2 additional on top of that as well. We'll touch on these capabilities in coming points as well. So we could look at this complexity in a different way as well. But put simply, we've got options which are more straightforward. You could read them as more standard, off the shelf, read spot buy, static catalogs. And as we go up the chain, where we're expecting more capability, more investment, there's a lot more flexibility. These solutions allow for more engineering, configurability, which is great for those capabilities with suppliers that have the existing e-commerce capabilities or want to invest in those capabilities. So diving a little bit deeper into static catalogs, a static catalog is a flat file that is loaded to the customer's SAP Ariba buying or buying invoicing application. Some points to note: the content resides in Ariba. File type supported: CIF, CXML, BME-CAT, typically in Europe, and extended CIF. Typical timeline to deploy, we talk to 5 to 6 weeks. Static catalogs are ideal for fewer products that don't require frequent pricing, availability, or other changes, as they require manual updates and uploading when changes are made. However, many organizations prefer CIF catalogs as they provide a higher degree of control. Some of the advantages: very easy to get up and running, which is great, especially good for new suppliers who are newer to the Ariba network or catalogs or do not have an e-commerce website. They provide the maximum control for buyers as well from a sort of audit and compliance perspective, with approvals on the back end and the Ariba application workflows. And for the users on the other side in Ariba, it's great for searches. Everything appears in the UI. They can make their favorites as well of content that they prefer. Some of the challenges: no real-time inventory or pricing. Certainly you're involved in the process from a supplier management perspective as well, and large files aren't typically supported and will need to be split. If we look at what this looks like, so here's an example of the Excel file that I mentioned. So very straightforward, very easy to complete. When rendered in the UI, when it's loaded, you can see the first level of the content here, and then a deeper dive. So we've got all the information we need to know to make an informed choice: pricing, supplier name, manufacturer, detailed product description, all the product specifications. Great example of content which an end user would really appreciate. All driven by that Excel file. So then to PunchOut catalogs. So a PunchOut catalog is an interactive catalog that is hosted on the supplier's website. The catalog resides in, it's controlled and maintained by the supplier in their environment or your environment. Typically 2 types: PunchOut level 1, PunchOut level 2. Recognizing some of the complexity here, typically timelines extended 8 to 12 weeks. So PunchOut catalogs are a better choice if you sell complex, service-oriented, or highly configurable product offerings. They're also ideal if you have large catalogs with many SKUs or items and sell goods that require constant updates on price, description, and content, or have a high number of transactions. So while PunchOut catalogs lead to cost savings in the long run, do recognise that implementing a PunchOut catalog typically requires greater IT resources up front. There is an investment at the beginning of the configuration for the e-commerce side and the testing to make sure it's up and running, but it's certainly supported and the dividends are paid over time. If we look at PunchOut Level 1, PunchOut Level 2, some of the advantages of PunchOut Level 1 certainly supports the frequent updates, large catalogs. Some of the challenges, the end users need to know typically which supplier to buy from. We'll look at an example shortly to provide context for that. And users can't create favorites on items, as another example. For PunchOut Level 2, so the items are going to appear in the Ariba user interface, so users can compare side by side, and users can even create favorites. Some of the challenges, so this is an extension of PunchOut Level 1, so there's another pricing file that needs to be maintained, which means there's a little bit more complexity as well than a typical PunchOut Level 1 to be considered. So, comparing PunchOut Level 1, PunchOut Level 2, from a buyer's perspective, let's have a walkthrough. So PunchOut Level 1, this would be in the Ariba interface. I'm going to see the supplier name, the catalog name, the PunchOut Level 1 catalog name, and the option to buy from supplier. So if I select this, it's going to take me to the supplier's e-commerce website. So we can see Next Day Plus here. They're selling toner, drums, kits. Great. I'm going to start searching for what I need. Found the items. Fantastic. I'm going to select the items. Then it's going to bring me back into the Ariba interface. So I can see now here I'm back in Ariba. I found the items from the supplier's e-commerce site. I've built my shopping cart, ready to go. But we can see in that experience I've gone from Ariba to the supplier's e-commerce site and come back in. Now let's look at PunchOut Level 2. So we can see things are looking a little bit different here. So I can see I'm still in Ariba, but now I can see the items on the left-hand side here. So all the products are shown in the Ariba application user interface. When I find the items, I can see some comparison items here, but when I do find the item or items I want to buy, I'm still going to select this buy from supplier. I will be taken to the supplier's website, but I can see that all the searching is occurring in the same user interface, which is Ariba. Main distinction between PunchOut Level 1 and PunchOut Level 2 here. So these are the conversations that you may be invited to have with your buyers. So a key point, buyers may come to you with different requests, and it may very well be driven by what they're looking to achieve for their end user experience. You can imagine yourself in an end user perspective inside one of your buyer customers, that shopping experience for PunchOut Level 1, where you go straight to the e-commerce site to search for the items, versus that PunchOut Level 2 where you're essentially shopping or searching for items with the Ariba application and having those comparisons. So if you do have the conversation around PunchOut Level 1, PunchOut Level 2, this is where they may be coming from, and I hope this comparison provides you some context for where those conversations. Now, catalog and content enablement conversations, as you may very well be aware, are now much more than just a technical or a project conversation. Depending on when and how you come into the project with a new or existing buyer, there are many opportunities to grow your relationship. So you consider how to partner with your buyers. Engage and align early and frequently. What's the spend in scope? What are the categories in scope? What are the catalog types the buyer or your customer might be considering? The timelines, some of the expectations, and the roles and the responsibilities. Knowing all these things or asking all these can go a really long way in building that rapport and having a successful program. Joint strategy. What are the overall goals of a particular project or maybe program of work for their business? If you can work in with that and align, then there's some great opportunities. Being flexible. So sometimes there may be very valid scenarios where different catalogs for individuals or groups could be valid. So being open to those options, having those discussions for what's mutually beneficial and can fit. And finally, in considering ongoing, being proactive with the customer as well when there's opportunities to update the catalogs and the content. They really do appreciate that being forthright in sort of where the content can be kept updated and frequently maintained. For suppliers, for yourselves, the opportunity is to consider how self-sufficiency and continuous improvement can play into your content management programs and catalog management programs. So in the way that you publish content and the frequency in which you do it, there could be opportunities on how to increase or rationalize items when reviewing non-catalog spend that comes from certain buyers. Your relationships will grow over time, so continuously looking for those opportunities to improve and rationalize, streamline, will benefit you and or your relationships. Automation opportunities and catalog tasks and activities as you become more and more familiar and the relationships grow. Opportunities to seek what the automation might look like on that, or potentially even outsourcing of certain functions in time. And finally, just being conscious of the communications that come with updates as well, across the multiple relationships, any opportunities to potentially aggregate the types and the medium of the communications that come with that. And finally, always keeping in mind that SAP is here to help, whether it be the deployment teams, the ongoing support teams. There is a wealth of information when it comes to education materials, the training guides available for all the different relationships, the catalog format guides, best practices, webinars, plus. Don't be shy in searching for SAP resources, and also the SAP support teams and other supporting teams in the organization. So let's take this to the final section, back to the basics. So assuming the approach, catalog type, where and how your content will be displayed, and a general good working arrangement with the buyer is established, it's now your time to shine. You know the content and the details of your goods and services you're selling better than anyone. Time to sell the content with the features you have at your disposal, so the eyes of the customers at the buyers choose yours. So some must-haves. What would you want to see if you're making a purchasing decision? There's some basics here. At a minimum, you want to see images. You want to see detailed descriptions, standard classification, attributes applicable, and part numbers, OEM and yours, and of course pricing. You're going to provide rich searchable content where you can. So what would you expect if you were shopping on an e-commerce site? What might make you select one item over another? Improve searchability results by including short names, keywords, rich item descriptions. Users need to know when they're buying. They typically buy based on price, content, and brand. Make sure all this information where it is available is made available. And improve presentation by including quality, multiple images where possible, even more detailed item descriptions, and even links. And finally, consider end user behavior. So refer back to what you might have already learned by partnering with your buyers as to who and how users will be searching from catalogs. It might be through guided buying, it might be through Ariba catalogs, Ariba buying and invoicing, perhaps even mobile devices. What will users need and how will they search? What needs to be included to draw results, the search results to your products first? I encourage you to keep this in mind. So some key takeaways here. Capability. So consider catalogs as capability, as a differentiator, as a competitive advantage in an increasingly digital commerce first economy. Drive more eyes. Think about who and how your customers will access and use your content. Make sure your content is the most appealing, relevant, and up-to-date. And finally, partner for success. Remember, your customers are on their own digital journeys also. Shared learning and growth should and can be a two-way street. Thank you for listening and joining Doing Business in the Digital Economy, partnering for success with supply managed catalogs. Thank you.